AWS Cloud Practitioner Certification, Cloud Concepts section, Design Principles. AWS Well-Architected Framework is a set of design principles and best practices to build successful cloud systems. In this video, I will go over the design principles. There are 6 pillars to the well-architected framework. Pillar 1, Operational Excellence. Pillar 2, Security. Pillar 3, Reliability. Pillar 4, Performance Efficiency. Pillar 5, Cost Optimization. Pillar 6, Sustainability. Next, I will go over the design principles of each pillar briefly. The first pillar, Operational Excellence. The Operational Excellence pillar includes the ability to support development and run workloads efficiently, gain insight into their operations, and to continue improve supporting processes and procedures to deliver business value. The first principle, perform operations as code. In cloud, you can define your application and its infrastructure as code. By performing operations as code, you minimize the human error. The second principle, make frequent, small, and reversible changes. Make changes in small increments, which can be reverted if they fail. The third principle, refine operations procedures frequently. Always look for opportunities to improve operations procedures. Fourth principle, anticipate failures. Identify potential sources of failure so that they can be fixed or mitigated. The fifth principle, learn from all operational failures. Learn from failures and share the knowledge with the team. The second pillar, security. This pillar focuses on securing the system. There are 7 design principles. The first principle, implement a strong identity foundation. Implement the principle of least privilege, which is providing the least access necessary. The second principle, maintain traceability. Use alerts and logs to automatically investigate issues and take actions. The third principle, apply security at all layers. Apply security at VPC, load balancing, compute service, operating system, application, and code. The fourth principle, automate security best practices. This means that the security should be defined and managed as code. The fifth principle, protect data in transit and at rest. Secure sensitive data by using techniques such as encryption, tokenization, and access control when storing or transmitting. The sixth principle, keep people away from data. This means minimize the need for manual processing of data. The seventh principle, prepare for security events. Be prepared for an incident by having an incident management policy and process. The third pillar, reliability. Reliability is the ability of the system to function correctly at all times when it is needed. It has 5 design principles. The first principle, automate recover from failure. By monitoring a workload for key performance indicators, KPIs, you can start automation when a threshold is breached. The second principle, test recovery procedures. In the cloud, you can test how your workload fails and you can validate your recovery procedures. The third principle, scale horizontally to increase availability. Replace one large resource with multiple small resources to reduce the impact of a single failure on the overall workload. The fourth principle, stop guessing capacity. The idea is that the capacity should be changed based on the demand. For example, using auto-scaling eliminates guesswork and scale the system based on the demand. The fifth principle, manage change in automation. These changes include all changes such as change in demand or data. So use auto-scaling to adjust resources to match the changing demand. Perform data backup automatically. The fourth pillar, performance efficiency. The performance efficiency pillar focuses on optimizing resource allocation based on the system requirements and changing demands. There are 5 design principles. The first principle, use advanced technologies. AWS offers a lot of technologies as services, such as database services and machine learning services. Using these services, you can focus on product development without investing too much time to manage them. The second principle, go global. AWS has multiple regions around the world. If your application has users in a different part of the world, you can deploy your workload in a region which is closer to your users to provide lower latency. The third principle, use serverless architectures. If you use EC2 instances, you have to make sure that you are allocating the resources optimally. Alternatively, the services related to the serverless architecture is managed by AWS optimally. The fourth principle, experiment more often. This means that we should be experimenting with different types of services or configurations so that we can choose the appropriate service based on the requirements. The fifth principle, consider mechanical sympathy. Sometimes developers use services which are not supposed to be used in that way. The idea of this principle is that we should develop a deeper understanding of available services so that we can choose the right service for the requirement. The fifth pillar, cost optimization. Cost optimization pillar focuses on delivering business value at the lowest price. There are 5 design principles. The first principle, implement cloud financial management. To achieve financial success and accelerate business value realization in the cloud, invest in cloud financial management and cost optimization. The second principle, adopt a consumption model. Pay only for the computing resources that you require and increase or decrease usage depending on business requirements. The third principle, measure overall efficiency. Measure the business output of the workload and the cost associated with delivering it. Use this measure to know the gains you make from increasing output and decreasing costs. The fourth principle, stop spending money on undifferentiated heavy lifting. Let AWS handle infrastructure management so that you can focus on your business. The fifth principle, analyze and attribute expenditure. The cloud makes it simple to accurately identify the usage and cost of systems, which then permits transparent attribution of IT costs to individual workload owners. This helps measure return on investment and gives workload owners an opportunity to optimize their resources and reduce costs. The sixth pillar, sustainability. This pillar focuses on environmental impact of cloud usage. There are 6 design principles. The first principle, understand your impact. Measure the impact of your cloud workload and model the future impact of your workload. The second principle: establish sustainability goals. For each cloud workload, establish long-term sustainability goals such as reducing the compute and storage resources required per transaction. The third principle: maximize utilization. Right-size workloads and implement efficient design to verify high utilization and maximize the energy efficiency of the underlying hardware. The fourth principle: anticipate and adopt new, more efficient hardware and software offerings. Continually monitor and evaluate new, more efficient hardware and software offerings. Design for flexibility to permit the rapid adoption of new efficient technologies. The fifth principle: use managed services. For example, customers can share the impact of common data center components like power and networking by adopting managed services such as AWS Fargate for serverless containers, where AWS operates at scale and is responsible for their efficient operation. Use managed services that can help minimize your impact, such as automatically moving infrequently accessed data to cold storage with Amazon S3 lifecycle configurations, or Amazon EC2 auto scaling to adjust capacity to meet demand. The sixth principle: reduce the downstream impact of your cloud workloads. Reduce the amount of energy or resources required to use your services. Reduce the need for your customers to upgrade their devices to use your services.